Throughout history, mirrors have been more than mere reflections. They have been symbols of vanity, insight, and the supernatural. The mirror in question, crafted in the late 17th century, is no exception. Its surface, made from polished silver and encased in intricately carved mahogany, tells a story that stretches across continents and centuries. As the light glimmers off its ornate frame, one can almost sense the whispers of those who have gazed into it, their secrets and desires forever trapped within its depths. The craftsmanship of this mirror is an art form of its own. Skilled artisans in Venice had perfected the technique of glassmaking, and it is said that this particular mirror was a collaborative endeavor among the finest craftsmen of the time. They employed a rare blend of molten glass and silver leaf, resulting in a reflective surface so clear that one could see the faintest details of their soul reflected back. The artisans took great pride in their work, infusing each piece with a level of care and artistry that was unmatched, believing that mirrors held a unique connection between the physical and the spiritual realms. As we trace the journey of this mirror, we encounter a historical figure known as Lady Beatrice Montague, a woman of great beauty and intellect, who became captivated by this particular mirror during a lavish ball in 1685. Rumor has it that Lady Beatrice was not only enamored by her own reflection, but also haunted by visions of her future, a future filled with both fortune and misfortune. Her obsession led her to make a series of choices that would forever alter the course of her life, hinting at the mirror's potential to influence those who dare to look too deeply into their own reflections. In Camelot chambers, she would spend hours gazing into its depths, seeking answers to questions that plagued her heart. It is said that during these moments, the air would grow thick with an unexplainable energy. Shadows danced just at the edges of her vision, and she would often hear a soft melody that seemed to emanate from the glass itself. As her fascination grew, so did the rumors surrounding her. Whispers of enchantment and curses intertwined, setting the stage for a legacy that would echo through generations. Lady Beatrice's story is but one thread in the tapestry of the mirror's history, yet it serves as a crucial nexus for understanding its mysterious reputation. The craftsmanship, the intrigue, and the obsession surrounding this mirror set the foundation for the eerie events that would transpire in its wake, each owner adding their chapter to a tale that would become legend. The stage is now set for the deep exploration of the haunting experiences that would follow and how they are intricately woven into the very fabric of this enigmatic object. As the mirror traveled through time, it became a vessel for more than just reflections. It absorbed the fears and curiosities of those who gazed into it. The tales of unsettling occurrences began to surface, each story more haunting than the last, creating an air of mystery that cloaked the mirror like a shroud. It was not merely an object, but a living entity, reacting to the emotions and intentions of its owners. One such account comes from a gentleman named Edward Harrington, who owned a mirror in the early 19th century. Edward was a pragmatic man, a skeptic at heart, who dismissed the whispers of hauntings as mere folklore. However, one fateful night, as he prepared to retire, he caught a glimpse of something peculiar in the glass. "I swear, I saw a figure standing behind me," he recounted years later, his voice trembling. It was a woman in a white gown, her face obscured by shadows. I turned to confront her, but there was nothing there. His friend, Jonathan, chuckled, attempting to ease the tension. "Perhaps you need to lay off the brandy before bed, Edward." "No, you don't understand," Edward insisted, his eyes wide with conviction. "It wasn't just a trick of the light. That mirror, it's alive with energy. I could feel it." The next morning, Edward awoke to find the mirror cracked, a jagged line running through its surface as if it had been struck by an unseen force. This incident ignited a series of events that would change his life forever, leading him down a path of obsession with the mirror's origins and the stories it held. Local folklore only intensified the allure of the mirror. In the small town where it resided, tales of its eerie nature were passed down through generations. Children whispered of the Lady in White, a spectral figure said to emerge from the mirror at midnight, beckoning the brave, or foolish, to join her in a dance. Many claimed to have felt a chill in the air when standing before it, as if the very essence of the mirror was watching and waiting. One evening, a group of local teens, fueled by bravado, gathered around the mirror, daring each other to touch its surface. "I bet you won't do it," taunted Sarah, her eyes gleaming with mischief. "I will," replied Mark, stepping forward. As his fingers brushed against the cool glass, a sudden rush of wind swept through the room, extinguishing the candles and plunging them into darkness. A collective gasp echoed as they felt a presence among them, a weight that pressed against their chests. "Let's get out of here," someone shouted, and in a frenzy, they fled, leaving the mirror behind, its surface undisturbed yet alive with energy. These anecdotes, steeped in fear and curiosity, weave a dark narrative around the mirror, highlighting the profound impact it has had on those who encounter it. Each story adds to the tapestry of its haunted legacy, blending fact and fiction in a way that captivates the imagination. As we delve deeper into the mirror's past, we begin to understand not just its history, but the collective psyche of those bound to it. Each reflection revealing more than just an image, but a glimpse into the fears and desires that haunt us all. In the dim light of an autumn evening in 1845, the air was thick with anticipation as a small group of townspeople gathered around the infamous mirror, their hearts racing with excitement and trepidation. This was the night that would mark the beginning of the mirror's notorious reputation as a conduit for the supernatural. The atmosphere was electric, charged with whispers of both fear and skepticism, as the townsfolk recalled Edward Harrington's chilling encounter. Among them was a man named Thomas Reed, a staunch skeptic and local historian known for his rational explanations and disdain for the supernatural. He stood at the edge of the gathering, arms crossed, his brow furrowed in disbelief. "Ghosts? Huh, just stories to frighten children," he declared, his voice cutting through the tension. "There's nothing in that mirror but dusty glass and old wood." "Then come closer," Thomas, a woman named Eliza, challenged, her eyes sparkling with defiance. "If you believe it's nothing, why not prove it?" Thomas stepped forward, a smirk on his face. "Fine, I'll show you all that it's just a reflection of your own fears." As he approached the mirror, the group fell silent, their gazes fixed on him. The flickering candlelight cast eerie shadows on the walls, amplifying the tension in the room. As he peered into the glass, a chill swept through the air, causing the candles to flicker wildly. "See?" Thomas scoffed, his voice tinged with bravado. "Nothing but..." His words caught in his throat as a dark figure materialized behind him in the reflection, cloaked in shadows. The temperature dropped, and a whisper, barely audible, echoed through the room. "Leave now." A murmur of disbelief swept through the crowd, but before anyone could react, Thomas turned around, only to find the room empty. He faced the mirror again, his bravado fading. What was that?" he stammered, his voice now barely a whisper. Eliza, her heart pounding her chest, grasped his arm. "I told you, Thomas. This place is alive." Her eyes widened as they both watched the figure reappear in the reflection, its face obscured, but the sorrowful eyes were unmistakable. "It's the Lady in White. The tension in the room escalated as the witnesses, now gripped by a mix of fear and intrigue, began to share their experiences. A man named Jacob recounted how he had felt a cold hand brush against his shoulder while standing before the mirror just days prior. "I thought I was losing my mind," he confessed, his voice shaking. "But I know what I felt." The psychological impact of the haunting began to manifest among the group. Skepticism wrestled with fear, creating a palpable tension. Eliza, feeling emboldened, turned to Thomas. "You can't ignore this. Something is happening here, and we need to understand it." As the night wore on, more testimonies surfaced, each more unsettling than the last. A woman named Margaret spoke of her dreams, haunted by visions of a woman in a white gown beckoning her closer to the mirror, a siren calling her into the depths of despair. "I woke up screaming," she said, tears brimming in her eyes. "I don't know what it wants from me." The haunting had begun to weave itself into the fabric of their lives, leaving imprints on their psyches. As the candles flickered out one by one, the tension in the room grew thick. Thomas, shaken to his core, finally conceded, Perhaps there's more to this than I thought. But we must find a way to understand it, rather than let it control our fears." The group, once divided by belief and skepticism, found common ground in their shared experiences. They stood united before the mirror, a testament to the unsettling power it held over them. Each reflection was no longer just an image. It was a portal to the past, a connection to the haunting legacy that would shape their lives forever. As the sun dipped below the horizon, casting long shadows across the old Victorian house, Clara Mitchell took a deep breath, feeling the familiar mix of excitement and dread that accompanied her interaction with the mirror. She had inherited it from her grandmother, who had often whispered stories about its mysterious past, tales that both intrigued and frightened Clara. The mirror, framed in ornate silver, loomed over the living room, its surface reflecting not just the room, but the weight of history and the burden of the unknown. Clara, a vibrant artist in her 30s, had always been drawn to the allure of the supernatural. She remembered her grandmother's warnings. "The mirror shows more than just your reflection, Clara. It holds memories, and sometimes it holds on to those who have lost their way." Yet, the moment Clara laid eyes on it, she felt an unexplainable connection, as if the mirror called to her soul, urging her to uncover its secrets. One evening, while preparing for a small gathering with her closest friend, Mark, Clara stood in front of the mirror, applying her makeup. The air felt heavy, charged with a peculiar energy. She caught a glimpse of movement behind her in the reflection, but when she turned, the room was empty. Shaking off the apprehension, she shrugged it off as a trick of the light. "Clara, are you ready?" Mark called from the kitchen, his skepticism evident even in his tone. He had always been the rational one, the voice of reason in Clara's life. "You know how I feel about that thing," he continued, stepping into the room with a playful grin. "I still think it's just a fancy piece of glass." "Maybe," Clara replied, a smile playing on her lips. "But it has a history, Mark. There's something special about it." She turned to face him, her expression softening. "You should really try to keep an open mind." As the evening unfolded, the atmosphere shifted. Laughter echoed through the house, but Clara couldn't shake the feeling that the mirror was watching, observing every interaction. Just as the group settled down for a game, Clara caught a glimpse of a shadow, flickering in the reflection again, more pronounced this time. Her heart raced. "Did you see that?" Clara asked, glancing back at Mark, who was now busy pouring drinks. "See what?" he replied, looking up with a raised eyebrow. "You're not going to start again with the mirror, are you?" Before she could respond, the lights flickered ominously. A chill swept through the room, and laughter faded into an uneasy silence. Mark narrowed his eyes, his skepticism wavering as he glanced towards the mirror. Okay, that was weird, he admitted, his bravado slipping slightly. Clara felt a rush of excitement mixed with fear. I told you it has a presence, she said, her voice barely above a whisper. It's not just a reflection. It's a connection to something beyond us. Let's not go down that road, Mark cautioned, his tone serious now. But if something is happening, we need to be careful. Just then, Clara's phone buzzed violently on the table, startling them both. She picked it up, but there were no messages, no notifications, just an eerie stillness settling over the room. The group resumed their game, but Clara could feel the weight of the mirror's gaze, almost as if it was pulling at the edges of her consciousness. Later that night, as the guests left, Clara found herself alone once more in the dim light of the living room. She approached the mirror, compelled to confront whatever it was that had stirred behind the glass. "What do you want from me?" she murmured, her breath fogging the surface. In that moment, the reflection shifted. A figure appeared, ethereal and translucent, with sorrowful eyes staring back at her. Clara's heart raced, but instead of fear, she felt a deep sense of empathy. "I see you," she whispered, feeling an unspoken connection. Just then, Mark re-entered the room. "Clara, I think we need to talk about what's going on with that mirror. I don't know what I saw, but I can't just ignore it anymore." Clara turned to him, her eyes wide. "You saw it too?" "Yeah, I did. And it's not just dust and wood, is it?" he replied, his voice trembling slightly. "We need to figure this out together." In that moment, the tension shifted between them. Clara felt a sense of relief wash over her. They were no longer divided by skepticism and belief. They were allies in the face of the unknown. Together, they would confront the mirror's haunting legacy and uncover the truth behind its reflections. Clara and Mark sat across from each other at the kitchen table, the remnants of their evening gatherings scattered around them. But the atmosphere was now charged with a different energy. They had both experienced something inexplicable, and the need to understand it had become urgent. Clara's fingers traced the outline of a notebook filled with her observations about the mirror and the strange occurrences that followed. "Where do we even begin?" Mark asked, his skepticism now tempered by curiosity. "I mean, do we really think someone can help us understand this thing?" Clara nodded, a determined look in her eyes. "I think we need to reach out to paranormal investigators. They might have insights or even evidence about what's happening." The following week, they arranged to meet with a local paranormal expert, Dr. Elise Harper, known for her extensive work on haunted objects. Clara felt a mix of excitement and trepidation as they entered the quaint little office adorned with artifacts from various investigations. Dr. Harper greeted them with a warm smile, her presence instantly calming Clara's nerves. "Welcome. I've heard some intriguing things about your mirror," Dr. Harper said, her voice infused with genuine interest. "Tell me everything." As Clara recounted their experiences, the flickering lights, the shadowy figure, and Mark's wavering skepticism, Dr. Harper listened intently, nodding in understanding. "Mirrors are fascinating," she began. "They're often seen as portals. The energy they hold can be tied to the emotions of those who have owned them." Mark spoke up. "But can you really quantify that? I mean, isn't it just superstition?" Dr. Harper turned to him, a twinkle in her eye. "Skepticism is healthy, Mark, but I believe the emotional energy can leave a trace. We use various methods to detect that energy, like EVP recordings and EMF meters." EVP. Clara furrowed her brow. "Electronic voice phenomena," Dr. Harper explained. "It's when we capture voices or sounds that are not audible to the human ear. Sometimes, entities try to communicate through these recordings. Mark exchanged a skeptical glance with Clara, but she could see the intrigue lighting up his eyes. "So, what do you think we should do?" Clara asked, her heart racing with anticipation. Dr. Harper smiled knowingly. "I suggest a night investigation at your home. We'll bring equipment and see if we can capture anything unusual. But I must warn you, what we find can sometimes be unsettling." As Clara and Mark prepared for the investigation, they learned about a rival investigation team, led by a brash skeptic named Tom. He was known for debunking paranormal claims, often ridiculing those who believed in them. Clara felt a pang of anxiety at the thought of Tom's team coming into their home, but Mark reassured her. "Let's not get caught up in their noise," he said. "We just need to focus on what we know." The night of the investigation arrived, and Clara felt an electric buzz in the air as Dr. Harper's team set up their equipment in the living room. They placed cameras strategically around the mirror and turned on the EVP recorder. Clara watched, her heart pounding as the lights dimmed, and the atmosphere grew heavy with anticipation. "Is anyone here with us?" Dr. Harper asked into the stillness, her voice steady and confident. Clara felt a chill skitter down her spine as the room seemed to hold its breath. After several minutes of silence, the EVP recorder crackled to life. "Soon," a faint voice whispered, sending shivers through Clara. Mark's eyes widened, and Clara could see him grappling with the implications. "Did you hear that?" he whispered, half in disbelief and half in awe. Dr. Harper nodded, excitement radiating from her. "This is incredible. We need to analyze that recording. It's a clear indication that something is present." As the investigation continued, Clara found herself torn between fear and fascination. The team captured more anomalies, including unexplained temperature drops and strange readings on the EMF meters. Yet, she couldn't shake the feeling that Tom's team would soon disrupt their findings. Later that night, as they reviewed the footage, Mark sighed, "I still can't believe it. What if this is all just an elaborate trick? What if Tom's team proves us wrong?" Clara met his gaze, her expression fierce. "But what if it's not? What if this is real? We owe it to ourselves to find out." The tension between belief and skepticism began to blur as they delved deeper into the mystery of the mirror. They would have to confront not only the unseen forces at play, but also the challenges posed by those who doubted their experiences. Together, they were on the brink of uncovering a truth that had remained hidden for far too long. As Clara and Mark delved deeper into the mysteries surrounding the mirror, they found themselves at a crossroads of theories and speculations. Guided by the insights from Dr. Harper, they sought to understand the various interpretations of the phenomena they'd experienced. They spent countless evenings poring over books and articles, uncovering the complexities of hauntings and the history of mirrors themselves. One rainy afternoon, they met with Professor Samuel Adler, a historian with a keen interest in the occult and the supernatural. His office was filled with dusty tomes and artifacts, and the walls were lined with portraits of long-gone scholars who seemed to gaze down upon them with an air of judgment. "Welcome. I understand you have an interest in a rather unusual mirror," Professor Adler began, adjusting his glasses as he leaned forward, intrigued. Clara wasted no time. "Yes, we've experienced strange occurrences linked to it. We're trying to make sense of what it might mean." "Ah, mirrors," the professor mused, fingers stroking his beard thoughtfully. "They have been regarded as portals or vessels for energies, some good, some malevolent. The concept of residual energy is particularly fascinating." Mark interjected, "What do you mean by residual energy?" Professor Adler elaborated, "It's the idea that strong emotions can leave an imprint on objects. If the mirror has witnessed significant events, joy, sorrow, or even tragedy, it could potentially hold on to that energy. This could explain the phenomena you've encountered. Clara felt a chill run down her spine, like the energy of the people who owned it before us. Precisely, the professor nodded. Each owner contributes to the mirror's essence. Now, if I may ask, do you know about its history? Clara glanced at Mark, who shook his head. Not much beyond its craftsmanship and a few owners. Ah, then you should know about the infamous Lady Eleanor, Professor Adler said, his eyes shimmering with excitement. She was a significant figure in the 18th century, known for her tragic demise. Some believe her spirit is trapped within the mirror, a reflection of her unfulfilled life. Mark exchanged a glance with Clara, a mixture of skepticism and curiosity flickering between them. Is there any evidence of that? He asked. Local folklore, primarily, Professor Adler replied. But many hauntings are rooted in such narratives. They create a connection to the past, a thread that ties the living to the dead. It's fascinating how historical events can shape beliefs about objects like your mirror. Could her energy be linked to a historical event? Clara asked, intrigued. Professor Adler leaned back, considering her question. There was a tragic fire in her estate, which claimed many lives. If the mirror was present during that event, it could have absorbed the chaos and despair. Some theorists suggest that such objects become cursed, carrying the weight of the past into the present. Mark frowned. So you're saying we could be dealing with a cursed object? Not necessarily cursed, Professor Adler clarified. Rather, it's a vessel of energy shaped by the emotions tied to it. The true nature of the haunting could depend on the intent and actions of its current owners. Clara felt the gravity of his words. So, if we approach the mirror with respect and understanding, it might lead us to the truth rather than chaos. Exactly, the professor smiled. But remember, you must also be cautious. Engaging with such energies can awaken things best left undisturbed. After their meeting, Clara and Mark left the university with more questions and answers, but with a renewed sense of purpose. The theories they explored not only fed their curiosity, but also deepened their resolve to uncover the truth behind the mirror's haunting. As they drove home, the rain pattered against the windshield, mirroring the tumultuous thoughts swirling in Clara's mind. What if we're not just uncovering history? She pondered aloud. What if we're also rewriting our own? Mark glanced at her, a contemplative look on his face. Only if we're prepared for what we might find. There's a thin line between understanding and disturbing what lies beneath. With that thought lingering in the air, they both realized that the journey ahead was not just about the mirror. It was about confronting the shadows of the past and the potential they held for their future. As Clara and Mark continued their exploration of the mirror's haunting, they began to uncover the profound emotional, physical, and spiritual impacts it had on those who had come into contact with it. Their research led them to previous owners, each with their own story of transformation and revelation, as well as to contemporary paranormal experts who were drawn to the mirror's enigmatic legacy. One afternoon, Clara arranged a meeting with Helen, an elderly woman who had owned the mirror in the 1980s. Helen's home was a quaint, cluttered space filled with memorabilia from her past. They sat in her cozy living room, sunlight filtering through lace curtains, creating a soft glow around them. Thank you for sharing your story with us. Helen, Clara began, her voice gentle. What was it like having the mirror in your life? Helen sighed, her gaze drifting to the corner of the room where a small, ornate mirror hung. At first, it was just an antique, a beautiful piece I couldn't resist. But soon, it became much more than that. Mark leaned forward, intrigued. What changed? It wasn't just what I saw in it, Helen explained, her voice trembling slightly. I started to feel emotions that weren't mine, memories that belonged to someone else. It was as if the mirror was channeling the spirit of its previous owners. Clara exchanged a glance with Mark, sensing the weight of Helen's words. "Did it affect your life in any significant way?" she asked. "Oh, absolutely," Helen replied, her eyes shining with a mix of nostalgia and fear. "I was a different person by the time I let it go. I found courage I never knew I had, but I also faced fears I had buried deep. Sometimes I'd catch glimpses of shadows moving behind me, or hear whispers that seemed to echo from the past." Mark frowned, contemplating. "Did you ever feel threatened by it?" Helen shook her head slowly. "Not threatened, but challenged. It forced me to confront my own truths, to reckon with my past. I learned to embrace my fears rather than let them control me. When I finally sold it, I felt like I was shedding a skin, a part of me that I had clung to for too long." Clara was captivated. "So the mirror helped you grow?" "Indeed," Helen smiled softly, "but it also left a mark. I still feel its presence sometimes, even years later. It's as if I'm connected to a tapestry of lives that came before mine." As they concluded their visit, Clara and Mark were left pondering the powerful legacy of the mirror. They realized that its influence extended far beyond mere hauntings. It had the potential to alter lives profoundly. Later, they attended a seminar hosted by renowned paranormal investigator Dr. Lucia Graves, who had dedicated her career to studying objects with significant histories. The room was filled with enthusiasts eager to learn about the mirror's legacy. Many objects, like this mirror, are imbued with the energy of their past, Dr. Graves explained passionately. Our emotions and experiences can resonate through time, creating a ripple effect on future owners. This is why our relationship with such items is so vital. Clara raised her hand, curiosity brimming. Is it possible for someone to be transformed by their interactions with these objects? Absolutely, Dr. Graves affirmed, her eyes sparkling. I've seen it time and again. People who engage with these energies often find themselves uncovering hidden strengths or confronting suppressed fears. The mirror, in particular, has a way of reflecting not just our physical image, but our innermost selves. Mark leaned back, considering the implications. So, the mirror acts as a catalyst for change? Precisely. Dr. Graves nodded. It's not about the haunting, it's about the legacy, the lessons left behind. Understanding this can help us navigate our own lives and the shadows we carry. As Clara and Mark left the seminar, they felt invigorated by the stories of transformation they had encountered. The mirror was no longer just an object of curiosity. It was a living testament to the emotional journeys of those who had crossed its path. I never thought a mirror could hold so much weight, Clara mused as they drove home, the setting sun casting a warm glow across their faces. It's astonishing how something so simple can unlock parts of ourselves we never knew existed. Mark nodded, his expression serious. It makes me wonder what our own reflection reveals. What shadows are we ready to confront? With that thought lingering in the air, they both acknowledged that their journey was not merely about uncovering the past. It was also a journey of self-discovery, an exploration of the legacy they would leave behind. As Clara and Mark delved deeper into the enigma of the mirror, they began to contemplate its future, a future intertwined with the haunting narratives and emotional legacies left by its past owners. The more they learned, the more they understood that the mirror was not simply an artifact of history. It was a living entity, continually shaped by the interactions of those who dared to engage with it. One evening, they gathered in Clara's living room, surrounded by the very artifacts of their journey. Sunlight streamed through the window, casting reflections that danced across the walls, sparking a reflective mood. Do you think the mirror will ever stop having an influence? Clara asked, her brow furrowing in thought. Mark leaned back, arms crossed. It's hard to say. The energy it carries seems almost timeless. Every story we've heard adds another layer to its history. I can't help but wonder what it will be like in another 100 years. Or even 1,000, Clara added, her voice filled with curiosity. What if future owners unlock new dimensions of its power? What if it continues to reflect our innermost fears and desires, just as it has for centuries? Exactly, Mark replied, his eyes gleaming with excitement. It's not just about the past. It's about the potential for transformation. It's like a mirror of our collective consciousness, showing us what we need to see, even if it's uncomfortable. Clara paused, reflecting on her own experiences with mirrors, both literal and metaphorical. What if we all took a moment to examine our own reflections? What shadows do we carry that we haven't confronted? Maybe it's time for us to share our experiences with mirrors, both the haunting and the beautiful. Their conversation sparked a sense of purpose. Clara suggested, let's encourage others to share their stories. We could create a space where people feel comfortable discussing their encounters with mirrors and what those experiences have taught them. Mark nodded enthusiastically. Yes, it could foster a sense of community. It's important for people to realize they're not alone in their experiences. Maybe the mirror is more than just a haunting. It's a bridge connecting us all. With newfound determination, they decided to host an online forum dedicated to the exploration of mirrors, inviting stories of transformation, fear, and revelation. We should create a platform for people to share how mirrors have impacted their lives, Clara suggested. It could be cathartic, not just for them, but for all of us. As they crafted their proposal, Clara considered the implications. In a way, we're creating a legacy too. Just like the mirror reflects the past, we can reflect the present and inspire the future. Exactly, Mark agreed. Each story shared will add to the tapestry of the mirror's legacy, encouraging others to confront their own truths. It's a continuous cycle of reflection and growth. With their plans set in motion, Clara and Mark felt a renewed sense of purpose. They understood that the mirror's legacy was not solely about the haunting. It was about the connections it fostered among individuals, encouraging them to embrace their own narratives. As Clara typed the first announcement for their forum, she felt a surge of excitement. The future of the mirror is as much about the stories we share as it is about the object itself. Let's invite everyone to explore their reflections together. Mark smiled, confidence radiating from him. And who knows, maybe through these shared experiences, we'll uncover even deeper mysteries about the mirror and ourselves.